Our superconscious mind is a part of our mind that's with us ever since we were created, um, you know, in the womb. And
Mhm.
that part of us is kind of observing us as we go through life. And it doesn't get attached to the emotions or the experiences. It's a kind of a neutral observer. And it has our best interest in art. It's kind of like our higher self. It can be connected with source or with God or with universal consciousness, really, whatever language you want. Is essentially a part of you that we learned or they learned. It could help neutralize the emotions that are attached to our memories. So as we come
Mm.
out, we're born, we come out, we start building a memory bank of experiences in life,
Right.
right?
Welcome to the You Are Not Your Trauma podcast, a show that reminds you that you are not alone, your experiences matter, and you are not defined by what you've been through. Each week, you will hear from the host and invited guests who have either personal or professional experience with trauma. They will share their stories and strategies for overcoming past wounds and beginning the journey toward healing and wholeness. Now, here's your host, a gifted speaker, author, coach, and entrepreneur, Harriet M. Harris.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of You Are Not Your Trauma, the podcast that brings hope, healing, and inspiration to those who have experienced life's most challenging moments. It's here in this space that we peel back the layers of trauma, not just to expose them, but to understand and overcome it. I'm your host, Harriet M. Harris, and I am so glad that you're here today. I hope that this show is an important part of your healing journey. In today's episode, Activating the Superconscious to Thrive, we're diving deep into an innovative approach to healing. Imagine assessing a part of your mind that can effortlessly neutralize trauma's emotional scars, rewrite limiting beliefs, and empower you to live the conscious life you deserve. Yes, we're talking about tapping into your superconscious mind, a journey that promises transformation without the need to relive painful memories. Now, today, we're joined by an extraordinary guest, Michelle McEwan, who brings not only professional expertise, but also personal insight into healing from trauma. With over 2 decades of experience in this field, Michelle has dedicated her life to not only understanding trauma, but finding innovative ways to overcome it. Through her business, Superconscious Solution, she offers a lifeline to those caught in the grip of their trauma narratives, guiding them towards reconnecting with their authentic selves. Her approach is both profound and practical. She facilitates an intuitively guided brain rewiring practice that does more than just address trauma, it transforms it. Michelle, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here, Harriet. That just sounded so lovely. I love the idea of hope and inspiration. And the title of your
Absolutely.
podcast is just perfect because
Thank
we are
you.
not our trauma.
We are not. We absolutely are not. Well, I mean, honestly, your work is fascinating. Like, I am so intrigued about how you blend the understanding of mind body connection with the forward thinking approach to trauma recovery. So I'm very excited to hear more about what you do and how you do it, and how it helps your clients. So, but before we jump like into the heart of the conversation, can you share with us a bit about your own journey? How did you come to focus on the superconscious as a tool for healing?
Mm. Yeah, my own journey is a lifelong journey, as many of us. I went into the career of occupational therapy and specializing in mental health because I really wanted to help people
Mhm.
with their mental health. I grew up with a parent who had mental health issues, and I didn't want that for anybody. I just wanted to help people. So I went into that career and I started helping people, and it was really great. And I love learning. So I'm always learning. And whatever I learn to practice with my clients, I first use on myself because growing
Mhm.
up in a home with a parent who has mental illness and one who wasn't there a lot resulted in some trauma, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In myself. It took me a long time to recognize that I had that in
Mhm.
myself. But through my healing journey, I could see how those experiences impacted my life, how I was showing up in my life, in my work, in my relationships, and then later on in my parenting. So I went through this journey of looking for ways of helping heal. And, I think it really started with mindfulness, and then that
Mhm.
stretched into mindful self compassion. So being kind to myself, what a concept in my suffering.
Yeah.
It's so important to just really drop the judgment of ourselves and just being really
Yeah.
kind. But I was still suffering a lot. I was still trapped in these repeated trigger responses that I knew intellectually didn't make sense, but I
Right.
couldn't control the emotional responses I was having. So I could be kind to myself in the presence of the emotions, but I was still having them.
Mm.
And then a Facebook ad came through and this woman was beaming and I thought, what is her magic? she was she was talking about, resolving trauma, the
Mhm.
superconscious mind. And, I took her class. It seemed pretty awesome. I joined her program. It was great. So I got certified and it's been life changing ever since. Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, it really helped rewire my brain so that those emotional responses, the patterns I kept falling into, you know, I don't
Mm.
I just don't fall into them as much anymore, if at all. Like some of them are
Wow.
gone away entirely. Some I still fall into, but it's ever so brief. And I have a
Mhm.
real relationship with my own mind that is really helpful for when I am triggered or when I am in a pattern,
Right.
that my own superconscious mind can help shift me in the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, and with that intriguing introduction, we're going to take a very quick commercial break. So stay tuned because after the break, we're going to dive deep into the superconscious mind and how it can be key to healing trauma. We will be right back.
Want a chance to win exclusive You Are Not Your Trauma merch? Here's how. Leave a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform and share your thoughts with us. It helps us reach more listeners who may also be seeking healing and growth. Once you left your feedback, visit feedback.youarenotyourtrauma.com to let us know you've entered by entering your info and the word feedback in the message section. You could be a lucky winner. Now stay tuned for today's inspiring episode, and thank you for being a part of the You Are Not Your Trauma community.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to You Are Not Your Trauma, and we're about to explore how assessing the superconscious mind can revolutionize healing from trauma. Now, Michelle, can you explain the concept of the superconscious mind and how it can be accessed for healing?
Well, our superconscious mind is a part of our mind that's with us ever since we were created, um, you know, in the womb. And
Hmm.
that part of us is kind of observing us as we go through life. And it doesn't get attached to the emotions or the experiences. It's a kind of a neutral observer. And it has our best interest in art. It's kind of like our higher self. It can be connected with source or with God or with universal consciousness, really, whatever language you want. Is essentially a part of you that we learned or they learned. It could help neutralize the emotions that are attached to our memories. So as we come
Mm.
out, we're born, we come out, we start building a memory bank of experiences in life,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so you can have an experience of bullying in childhood, right?
Mm.
That creates a memory in your whole mind, body, heart system with all of the emotions
Yep.
attached.
Yep.
And then later on in life as an adult, you're at work and your boss looks at you a certain way or says something, tone of
Mm.
voice that your brain says, oh, remember when that happened in childhood? It makes the link, the
Mm.
association, and it calls that all that emotional charge comes
Mhm.
back
Mhm.
into your body, you feel it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you're back in that childhood bullying experience, except this is just your boss. And maybe what he said wasn't even that bad, but your body's reacting as if it's really that bad because
Wow.
it's holding all of that stuff. So all of these memories are piled up inside of us, and your superconscious mind can see them. And when we learn how to communicate with the superconscious mind, it can find them, kind of unpack them, neutralize the emotions, and then put them back. You don't lose your memories, you don't forget them. But let's say we were working through that bullying experience, it would go from, being really charged with emotion,
Mhm.
8 out of 10 or something, if we were to give it a number. And at the end of a session, it would be 0. It would be neutral. It would be, oh, that's just something that
Wow.
happened to me. Yeah,
Really? That is
really.
so interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically, what I made notes mentally and um in my notes is that you said that it neutralizes those emotions. So when you think about that thing, like you talked about the bullying incident or
Hmm.
example, I should say, the bullying
Yeah.
example, and then your boss comes in and triggers your body, your mind, but going um when we're communicating with the superconscious mind, it actually removes that emotion, that feeling, that thought that sends you back.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
wow, that is
I
so
know.
interesting. I have so
Yeah.
many questions here.
No, it really is powerful because and you don't even have to relive it. So if you were in a session, all we would have to do is take, I got really mad at my boss said something and I got really upset and I don't know
Mhm.
why. That's all we need. And then it's kind of like a guided mindfulness practice. Although
Mm.
you don't have to be totally into mindfulness. You don't have to meditate, none of that. We can do it talking, coaching as well. um, I would talk to your superconscious and it would find that bullying experience. It would find whatever other experiences were similar that your brain is calling upon to make that reaction. It would find them and it would neutralize them without you having to relive it. You might remember, oh, yeah, there was that bullying. And oh, yeah,
Mhm.
I feel really upset when I think about it. You might remember it, but you don't have to tell me about it if you don't want to. You don't have to analyze it. Your superconscious will find it and neutralize it.
Wow. Now I'm curious. I'm going to ask this because I don't know if anybody else will, but I'm curious. So, is this done like through hypnosis? Are you awake and conscious as you is would someone be awake and conscious as you're
Mhm.
talking to their
Yes.
superconscious mind?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You're totally awake. You're totally conscious. You can be seated or lying down with your eyes closed and relaxed, or you can be, having a conversation like this and be coached
Mhm.
through it. Or you can, if you're listening to a recording, you can put the earbuds in and do your dishes or
Mm.
walking or vacuuming while your super conscious does the work.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay, this is so interesting. So,
Yeah.
so how do you think this method helps individuals heal from trauma without if they're not having to relive or talk through those experiences? How does it help them to work through all the stuff?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, all of those kind of events lead to the emotional charge, but also to
Mm.
beliefs, right? Beliefs
Yes,
about
that's true.
ourselves and beliefs about the world, right? People
Right.
with an official PTSD diagnosis often have a core belief that they are incapable and that the
Mhm.
world is really dangerous, right? Their big
Mm.
T trauma experiences usually lead to those beliefs. The rest of us also, I mean, if we don't have the official diagnosis of PTSD, we can't get through childhood without some limiting beliefs, whether
Yeah,
it's we're
absolutely.
not lovable or we're damaged or we're not,
Yeah.
there's a whole range of them that are super, super common, right? So
Yes.
the experiences of our life create emotional reactions and also create beliefs. So
Mhm.
we carry those things as we show up in life, right? We carry those things. They're like the glasses through which we see the world.
Mm.
So this method helps you take your glasses off or change them. you can, your superconscious can find those beliefs as well, and you can intentionally rewire them. So, I can speak from personal experience. It's always helpful to hear from personal experience. So,
Mhm.
you know, being one of my core beliefs that I realized was I feel unlovable, right?
Mhm.
Beliefs are not always logical, right? I'm married, I have a kid,
No.
people
Right.
love me, but it's just a feeling I feel unlovable. So then, I'm always walking on eggshells and waiting for somebody to
Mhm.
show me
To
how
stop loving
unlovable I
you.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It's a super common one. And then, in a session, the person who guided my session could clear all of the experiences that led to that belief. And then we could create a new belief, right?
Yes.
It can be opposite, which is super helpful. I am lovable, right? And that feels really awkward at first, but you can work through it until it feels, heck yes. Heck yes, I am
Yeah.
lovable. I believe it. It's true. And that's life changing.
Yes,
So
it
it's,
is.
yeah, if your viewers are familiar with cognitive behavioral therapy, it's kind of a long, slow process where you
Mhm.
pick apart the beliefs and pick apart, right? And I'm not saying it doesn't work and I'm not saying it's not good. Every healing modality has its place,
Yeah,
but this
absolutely.
is much faster,
Yeah.
much
And you know
faster and
what?
less analysis.
I can completely relate to the part about the limiting beliefs because that part was so unknown to me. Like I had no idea that I didn't even know what they were for a long time.
Hmm.
And as I went through the process of working through like finding, uncovering, challenging and um what I call them new empowering truths, creating my new empowering truths. I actually wrote a book called Stop Stopping Your Success. And it's
I
all
love it.
about changing um the thoughts and beliefs that hold us back because
Hmm.
that is what stops our success is what we're thinking. So um
Mm.
that was a very pivotal working through the limiting beliefs was very pivotal in my own healing process or journey, I would say, because it ain't over. But
Yeah, I
the
agree.
journey of
It's a
healing
journey.
myself. Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree. And I
Mhm.
just love how you said that the super conscious can take those beliefs and rewire them. So I did it a different way. But hey, as
Oh,
long as
yeah.
they're being done. As long
As
as it's
long as
being
they're
done.
being done, there's many paths on the healing
Yeah.
journey, right? Many, many
Yeah.
paths. And all have, I am a big believer in personal medicine. People find what works for them, what resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah. The key is to keep looking. Don't give up the hope, right?
Listen,
Just
I would have done it faster if I could have. But no. But yeah, I love that. I love that. I love the fact that the emotions are able to be changed. Like to me, that is super powerful. Because the way we respond to something is very impactful of how it's going to continue to affect us. So
Hmm.
being able to change those emotions, like if you immediately when you were saying that, I thought of like, you get nervous when you go into some places. Some things I do still like give me anxiety. Um, and if those emotions are removed from that, it makes the experience, as you go to it the next time, it just makes it different. So
Yeah, those are the perfect things to bring to I call them superconscious shift sessions because we're
Mhm,
shifting. And so that's the perfect thing to bring is, I want to do this,
mhm.
whatever it is. I don't know what it is going to a restaurant, but going to a restaurant still makes me super nervous. So that's all. That's the starting place, right? And
Yeah.
you don't have to figure out all the where that came from. Your superconscious will take us along a healing path.
Wow, wow.
Mhm.
That's so interesting. So, Michelle, what changes do you see in people once they neutralize that emotional content of their trauma through the superconscious work?
Yeah, it's like energy giving, life giving. It's a connection to joy again, or more joy, connection to, authentic self, like
Mm,
feeling grounded and safe and secure in yourself, and know that, you've got your own back and you can um, do what you want to do. And you can live more, I think in my introduction, live more consciously, right? You can,
yeah.
I think sometimes these triggers and these reactions can keep us stuck living in reaction mode. Sometimes where
Mhm.
we're going from one reaction to the other. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of survival mode. And so by clearing a lot of this energetic, emotional belief stuff, you have more space to step into more conscious creation, conscious living. You have more choice, empowered choice. Um, and through the process, like, in the one-to-one sessions, I'm giving the instructions to your superconscious, but I also teach you how to use it on the go, right?
Mm,
So,
okay.
yeah, so it's like, we do a session on, I don't know, restaurant anxiety, because I just used that
Okay.
example, right? And at the end of the
Yeah.
session, you're like, okay, no, I'm feeling really good. It feels neutralized. And now I feel excited to go. But then you get there and, stuff still can creep in, right? But in the
Mhm,
moment,
mhm.
you've got your own superconscious mind to help neutralize anything that creeps up. And
Yeah.
so it's so empowering when it's just really is empowering. And so people can really spread their wings.
That is beautiful. So, I heard you mention one-on-one coaching. So, how long does it generally take for this process? I mean, I'm sure it's varies per person, but I mean, I'll say the quickest you've seen it work and help someone.
Yeah, it really it depends. In one session, we always go from we're able to neutralize something in each session.
Okay.
Right. So if you, Harriet, come to me with, um, your the situation that's still causing you anxiety, we would clear that probably in one session. And then it's about an hour to 75 minutes for a session. Um,
Okay.
yeah, if people have a lot that they want to work through and clear,
Mhm.
I would say at least 5 or 6 sessions. Most people don't really need more than 10 sessions to get a
Okay.
really good clearing and then foundation, and then maybe, some as needed after that. Sometimes people come back every few months and say, you know what? I'm noticing this now. Let's clear this pattern.
Okay.
Because
So
as we
just
said, the healing journey is ongoing, right? I still
yes,
give
yes.
myself sessions because new layers are revealed.
Oh, and nobody warned you about that. I'm glad you said that. No one warns you that as you work through one thing, something completely different can pop up on you and you just have no idea. You're not prepared for it. And I seem to learn these things the hard way. But I know, I don't know, 2 years ago, I think really started, like truly started a healing journey. And, like I got through that first year and I was like, okay, oh, I'm good. Like, and then it was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like a tap on the shoulder, like, oh yeah, but what about this? And I'm like, thought I had packed that away real deep. Like, so yeah, that's the part nobody talks about, but I'm glad you said that because I I want our audience to know because
Yeah.
that was, like I said, something that really kinda came up for me at a later point. Like, I thought that, you know, once I dealt with it, then it was done. But then there are all these other things, as you mentioned earlier, like we don't get through life without experiencing traumatic things. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't even know that some of them are traumatic. So we don't know when and how to deal with them. But um, the fact that there are people you mentioned that kind of come back for additional sessions or maintenance or, like, or new things that came up, like, hey, it's something new. Um, yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I
I'm
think it
glad you
is an
said that.
important message because even I
Yeah.
fell into that trap, right? Of thinking, oh, I'm not healed enough to be a coach or whatever. And it's like, no, you know
Yes.
what? I've come a long way in my journey. And just because there's new layers showing up, so is true for everybody else.
That's a good point too that you just made, because when I was first initially called to take this path of coaching and helping people, I would say, I don't even have my life together. How am I going to help somebody else? That was
Yeah.
what I said. And uh, God wouldn't let me, he just wouldn't leave me alone about it. He was like, look, this is it. Um, but yeah, I have the same thing, but I can relate that back now to a limiting belief that I had that I didn't, know was there. So good, very good point.
Yeah.
So Michelle, what advice do you have for our listeners who are curious about exploring their superconscious to heal and to just thrive?
Mm. Yeah, well, I think if you put that word into a search engine, you will find a couple sources. I would hope you'd find me at Superconscious Solution. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Insta and YouTube and TikTok. But I'm kind of, slow. Um, I don't have a lot of content out, is what I'm trying to say. But there's other
Gotcha.
people out. Yeah, there's other people out there doing the work. So start with a Google of superconscious and check it, see what you find. I
Okay.
think that, really believe that it's important to turn triggers into opportunities for healing. And one quick way of doing that is, when your kids, when there's a fire, you learn stop, drop, and roll.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of when there's a trigger to pause, to drop into your own body, and to just roll with it. Just
I
roll with
like
it and
that.
let it roll through, right? You don't need your superconscious mind for that.
Yeah.
The superconscious mind does take it to the next level in that in the rolling, you can do some superconscious instructions, but the pause and the rolling with it and the allowing it with
Mm-hmm.
kindness is
Mm-hmm.
super powerful.
Yeah, I love that. And you said kindness a couple of times about being kind to ourselves. And I appreciate that because I don't know why it seems like it's so much harder to be kind to ourselves, but sometimes some of us fight with it. I'm one of them. Um, but I'm learning a lot about the importance of that. So I appreciate you sharing that so that our audience gets that constant reminder to be kind to themselves. Be kind to
Mhm.
yourselves, guys.
Yeah, ever so kind. It is emotions are a normal part of the human
Yeah.
experience. We are here to have them.
Yep,
Yeah.
we are. Yeah. Well, I wrote down your advice. For one, I want to recap to Google the superconscious. You said that there are lots of information out there on it. And the other thing, you said to pause, drop, and roll with it. I
Mhm.
love that. I love that. Um, so thank
Yeah.
you. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure our audience will appreciate the advice from what you shared. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And
this has
will
been oh, go ahead.
before you close up, sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I
you're good.
do have a Facebook group where I do free shift up sessions every
Okay.
week. So it's free to join the group. I just did one today on impulsivity and I had a rave review, right? Sometimes we do impulsive behaviors. Let's shift out of that. I
Mhm.
take requests from the group. It's a great way to come and try out the method. Um, and Harriet, always offer my podcast interviewers a free mini session. So if you would
Oh,
like one,
nice.
let me know.
Absolutely. We'll have to talk about that after we're done. Thank you. And you said your face up sessions, you did one on impulsivity, right?
Yeah, just today. So can I give the group's name? I
Yeah,
didn't.
go ahead, share.
Superconscious Solution, Mind, Body, Heart, Wellness.
Superconscious solution, mind, heart, body.
Mind, Body, Heart,
Oh,
Wellness.
mind, body, heart, wellness. Okay. Got it.
Mhm.
I'm making note of it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I was actually going to ask because I was like, I would love to understand. My next question is, what is a face up session?
Pardon me?
You
What
said it
is a
was called
shift up session?
you said shift up. I want face up. Shift up
Sorry.
session. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm calling them. Shift sessions, shift up. So you come with an issue and we shift it. We shift it at the mind level, at the body level, the
Mm,
heart level, energetically. Yeah, shifted.
wow. I love that shift up session. We're going to have to talk about how we can get one of those happening in our group. So maybe we can get Michelle to come and give us a shift up session
Oh, I would love
in our
that.
community. Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. That would be really fun.
All right. Well, Michelle, thank you. These have been some fascinating insights. I have learned so much and I love to learn. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing your expertise and just all the information that you shared tonight. Before we wrap up, we're going to take another short break, but stay with us because when we come back, we're going to hear Michelle's final thoughts for us. We'll be right back.
Imagine having resources at your fingertips that support you through every step of your healing journey. That's exactly what you'll get with the You Are Not Your Trauma app. Access guided meditations to find your peace, read inspiring stories that resonate with your experiences, and join a community that truly understands. But that's not all. Dive into the Healing Chronicles and participate in community challenges. It's more than an app. It's a companion on your journey of self-discovery and healing. Download the You Are Not Your Trauma app today and join a community where your story matters and your healing journey is honored. Find us on the App Store and Google Play Store. Your journey to healing starts now.
And we are back. Michelle, thank you again for joining us and shedding light on such a transformative healing process. I think it is so important to know that there are different ways to heal. I mean, I think typically people run away from talk therapy, but I am excited to share that there are so many other ways to work through our traumas and to heal outside of the one that people often, don't seem to resonate with or they feel like they can't resonate with. So I'm thankful to you that you offer something different that they can explore. So I really appreciate you.
Oh, Harriet, I've loved this time with you.
Thank you.
I absolutely love your message. I do think there is so much hope. There is so much joy and love accessible to all of us once we pull back the curtains, clear the trauma. We can step into our amazing selves and our amazing lives. Yeah, and your superconscious mind can help you.
Yes, it can. I love this. This has been so amazing. So, Michelle, were those your final thoughts or do you have more?
Were those my final thoughts? Oh my gosh. Do I have more? Well, I would just love to work with you all. So
Okay.
let me know what your group is interested in and if
Okay.
that works, or come join me on Facebook or reach out. I'm happy to. I can geek out and talk about this stuff all day. So curiosity calls are always free. So just reach
Awesome.
out if you're curious.
Well, we have a quarterly fireside chat. So we're gonna look at having Michelle booked for one of our upcoming fireside chats because that's what I wrote down here while she's been talking is that we need her to come and do I got it right this time, a shift up session for us
Yes.
in our fireside chat. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Michelle. I have really enjoyed this. And now, as we conclude today's episode, I want you all to remember that the journey to healing isn't about reliving your past, but rediscovering your power within. Healing begins when you step out of the shadows of your past and into the light of our conscious future. So, to each of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of You Are Not Your Trauma podcast. Your presence is a vital part of this collective journey. If you found today's episode helpful, please don't forget to share it with someone who can benefit from the information that Michelle has shared. Also, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Check out the website, www.youarenotyourtrauma.com, to leave feedback, request to be a guest on the show, subscribe to the show, get information on our show guests, or to get information about advertising on You Are Not Your Trauma podcast. You can connect with You Are Not Your Trauma podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at You Are Not Your Trauma podcast. And if you have a story to share, please email me at contact@harrietmharris.com. Also, don't forget to download the You Are Not Your Trauma app for more resources and community support. It is a fantastic tool to accompany you on your healing journey, and it is available in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Now, if you need additional resources to aid you in your journey of healing and self-discovery, I encourage you to download the You Are Not Your Trauma resource guide. It is available through the app or by visiting resourceguide.youarenotyourtrauma.com. And until next time, keep healing, keep thriving, and remember, you are not your trauma.